Good afternoon. I'm Father Alexander. Welcome to St. Peter's Hove. And today I'm going to talk about two Psalms, which come one after the other 85 and 86. 85 brackets 86 and 86 brackets 87. This is our 176th step in our walking tour through the Bible. Now, the first of these Psalms is the Psalm of a poor man who is in desperate straits. 85. Turn your ear, O God, O Lord, and give answer, for I am poor and needy. Preserve my life, for I am faithful. Save the servant who trusts in you. You are my God. Have mercy on me, Lord, for I cry to you all the day long. Give joy to your servant, O Lord, for to you I lift up my soul. O Lord, you are good and forgiving, full of love to all who call. Give heed, O Lord, to my prayer, and attend to the sound of my voice. In the day of distress I will call, and surely you will reply. Among the gods there is none like you, O Lord, nor work to compare with yours. All the nations shall come to adore you and glorify your name, O Lord. For you are great and you do marvelous deeds, you who alone are God. Now, there's something rather odd going on in this psalm. The first few verses are in the first person singular, I. Turn your ear, O Lord, and give answer, for I am poor and needy. The individual, the Israelite, is approaching God, the psalmist, and asking God to help him in his poverty and his neediness, asking him for salvation and for mercy and for forgiveness, and so that he may receive the love of God again. Now, this is a penitential psalm. It's also a psalm about how if we are to be saved, then we need to turn to God and we need to have a personal relationship with God. We need to speak to God. Salvation is not just going to come along by God giving us salvation against his will. No, we need to appeal to God. We need to open our hearts to God so we may receive his salvation as a gift. Okay, then in the last verse, something interesting is happening. All the nations shall come to adore you and glorify your name, O Lord, for you are great and you do marvelous deeds, you who alone are God. Well, why are all the nations who don't believe in God suddenly going to be converted to God, or gradually going to be converted to God? Why are they coming to him? Why are they going to glorify his name? Well, because he does such wonderful things. But what is this wonderful thing that God does? He shows mercy to the Israelite. He shows mercy to the person who appeals to him. The Israelites are the only one who know God at this stage. But because God is so good, other nations will see what he's done for the Israelites. They too will come to have faith in God. Now, we're often told by people who don't really know much about the sacred scriptures that the Old Testament is about a tribal God, or the Old Testament is about a God who is the God of the Israelites and the rest of the world can go hang. Yes and no. Yes, there are certain incidents in the Old Testament that give that impression, but it's a false impression because the really illuminating passages in the Old Testament are the passages where God makes it clear that he is the God of all, and there is a universal call that goes out to the whole of humanity to find and to discover the love of God, to be reconciled to God, the Creator, the lover of all humanity. All the nations shall come to you to adore you, O Lord. So this man is adoring God, let's say, in the temple, but what he's doing, one day all nations shall do. Israel is the pledge, if you like, of God's universal salvation. Salvation is offered to Israel, but one day it will be offered to all. One day all will discover what it is that Israel has already discovered. Now, we now move on to the next psalm. This is 86-87. This, I think, is one of my favorite psalms. On the holy mountain is his city, cherished by the Lord. The Lord prefers the gates of Zion to all Jacob's dwellings. Of you are told glorious things, O city of God. So that's Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the predilected place of God, the God's favorite place, because that is where he has chosen to dwell. This is his cherished place, the holy mountain, which is Jerusalem. And then God speaks, Babylon and Egypt I will count among those who know me. Philistia, Tyre, Ethiopia, these will be her children. And Zion shall be called mother, for all shall be her children. It is he, the Lord the Most High, who gives each his place. In the register of peoples, he writes, these are her children. And while they dance, they will sing, in you all find their home. So here we have a beautiful prophecy. Jerusalem, the city of the Jews, the chosen place of God, is also going to be the mother of all nations. But not just all nations, but the most wicked nations imaginable. The Babylonians, who took the Israelites off into captivity, the Egyptians, who made the Israelites into slaves. They are going to recognize the God of Israel as the one true God. And then Philistia, that's the home of the Philistines, the people who oppressed the Israelites so wickedly. Philistia is also going to recognize God as the living God. Tyre, home of no less a person than the evil Queen Jezebel and the cult of Baal, Tyre, that great trading nation, will also recognize the God of Israel as the one true God. Ethiopia. Now, why does Ethiopia get in there? Not because Ethiopia is a particularly bad place, but because it's the most distant place that they knew of. I don't think there is much mention of India in the Bible. It does mention it in the book of Esther. India is mentioned. Ahasuerus' empire stretches to India, from Ethiopia to India. Ethiopia is the furthest you could go, basically. India as well. There's nowhere beyond that. So, in other words, God's will be recognized as God by people who live at the very ends of the earth. These are all her children. Zion shall be called Mother. Okay, it's a beautiful prophecy, is it not, of the church? It's a beautiful prophecy of or recognition rather of the universality of God's call. These are her children. While they dance, they will sing. In you, all find their home. That's extremely significant. When you go to a place and you think, oh, this place is alien, I don't fit in here, you might have a nice holiday, but you look forward to going home because your culture and the culture of the place you're in, they just don't fit. When you go somewhere and say, this place is like home, then your culture fits with that culture. The church is the home of all peoples. No one should go into a Catholic church and find it alien. Everybody should go into a Catholic church and find this is the place where they fit in. This is the place where they belong. This is the place to which they are called. Now, this is very important. One of the things is the liturgy of the Catholic Church, the theology of the Catholic Church, and the morality and social teaching of the Catholic Church should find a suitably concordant fit with people of all backgrounds and all cultures. In other words, there is something in human nature that is peculiarly Catholic, something in human nature that fits with Catholicism. And that is why, whether you have been a priest in Kenya, as I have, Italy, or England or Wales, in all these places you have believed and you have proclaimed and you've practiced the very same faith. Now, I remember when I was in Kenya, this was quite a thing, this idea of inculturation. That is to say, we should present Catholicism with Kenyan characteristics, shall we put it like that? But those Kenyan characteristics of Catholicism will be things we find in Kenyan culture that fit with Catholicism. Certain things we find in Kenyan culture we will reject and we will attempt to overcome. Things like female genital mutilation. Things like having multiple wives. Those things cannot be reconciled to Christianity, and when they are abolished in Kenya, Kenya will be a much better off place. So we proclaim a faith that is universal. Zion shall be called mother to all nations. The faith is universal, and we hold to that universality. Now, this means that whether the faith is true in Ethiopia and in China and in Britain, and it's the same faith. We don't say, well, here in England we do things differently. Here in England we believe things differently. Oh, here in England we pay down this thou shalt not commit adultery. It wouldn't really make much sense to English people here. No, we don't. It's the same faith everywhere. My father, may God be good to him, may he rest in peace, said about the Mass when he was a child. You went to Mass and it was the same everywhere in the whole world. If you went to Hong Kong, the Mass was the same. If you went to South America, the Mass was the same. He said that he himself, though he wasn't particularly religious, at least not with me, he saw this as a beautiful expression, not just of the universality of the Catholic Church, which it is, but the universality of humanity. In other words, not only is the Mass the same everywhere, people are the same everywhere, because people go to the same Mass and have the same spiritual nourishment that they get wherever they go. People are the same. We're all looking for the same thing. We're all looking for the love of God. And that is why, I think, rather importantly, we do not go down the path too far of identity politics. Everybody has the same substantial needs, the need for the love of God. So therefore, rather than talking about how different we all are, we emphasize how much the same we all are. We are one family of nations. If you come from Ethiopia or if you come from Tyre, you're a potential brother. Okay, I hope I've explained that. It's a very beautiful psalm, that one. They will dance, they will sing, and Zion will be called mother. All the best.